The antiseptic scent of the hospital corridor wrapped around me like a cold, unforgiving blanket, starkly contrasting the vibrant floral arrangements blooming just miles away at the wedding venue. My heart pounded with a discordant symphony of fear and frustration, each beat echoing the growing chasm between me and the family that once meant everything. The fluorescent lights above flickered intermittently, casting a clinical pallor over the sterile environment, mirroring the emotional void gnawing at my insides. Lying on the cold, metallic table in the pre-op room, the rhythmic beeping of machines served as a monotonous reminder of my fragility. Each beep was a stark contrast to the bustling energy I knew awaited outside these sterile walls. As I stared at the ceiling, my thoughts drifted, not to the upcoming surgery that loomed over me like an inevitable storm, but to the wedding preparations that had consumed my family's attention for months. My parents moved with a sense of urgency and excitement, their conversations filled with details about the ceremony, guest lists, and seating arrangements. Their laughter and animated gestures were a painful reminder of how deeply my presence seemed to matter less than Lily's impending nuptials. Lily, my adopted sister, was the golden child, poised, beloved, and the centerpiece of our family's carefully curated facade of perfection. Ethan, my boyfriend, stood nearby, his presence a bittersweet comfort. His eyes, filled with concern, met mine briefly before shifting back to the flurry of activity orchestrated by my parents. His supportive stance was a stark contrast to the emotional distance maintained by my own family. Despite his unwavering support, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was watching my life unravel from the sidelines, unable to grasp the reins even in the face of dire circumstances. Memories of simpler times flickered through my mind. Days when my parents' smiles were genuine, their attention undivided, and Lily's laughter a harmonious melody that filled our home. But those days were long gone, replaced by a relentless pursuit of perfection centered around a sister who, in many ways, was more a possession than family. The moment Lily was adopted, everything changed. My room was lost to her, my piano lessons canceled, and my interests pushed aside to accommodate her delicate needs. As the surgeon's voice cut through my reverie, outlining the procedure with detached precision, I felt a wave of resignation wash over me. "We're ready to proceed," he announced, his tone professional yet devoid of empathy. The room seemed to spin slightly, the lines between past and present blurring as I lay on the operating table, feeling more vulnerable than ever before. My parents hovered anxiously outside the room, their expressions a mix of concern for me and anticipation for Lily's big day. They glanced at their watches, coordinating last-minute details, oblivious to the silent pleas emanating from my restrained heart. Their eyes, when they met mine briefly, held a distant sadness that I had grown all too familiar with. It was a silent acknowledgement that my life was teetering on the edge, yet their priorities remained steadfastly fixed on Lily's happiness. Ethan squeezed my hand gently, his touch a fleeting moment of connection in the midst of chaos. "You're going to be okay," he whispered, though his own anxiety was palpable. His words were a lifeline, yet I couldn't fully grasp their meaning, lost as I was in a haze of impending surgery and emotional numbness. As the anesthetic began to take hold, a heavy fog enveloped my consciousness, dulling the sharp edges of my fears. My last conscious thought was a silent vow to reclaim my existence, to no longer fade into the background, overshadowed by another's joy. The sterile lights above dimmed, and the world outside my immediate turmoil faded into obscurity, leaving me suspended in a liminal space between life and oblivion. In that suspended moment, as the anesthesia slowly claimed me, I pondered the irrevocable path that lay ahead. The surgery was not just a physical procedure, but a metaphorical crossroads, an opportunity to awaken from a long slumber of emotional detachment and to confront the fractured relationships that had defined my existence. Yet, the future remained uncertain, shrouded in the same fog that now clouded my senses, leaving me to drift into the void with only my fragmented thoughts as companions. Memories often surface unbidden, like shadows stretching across a sunlit room as the day progresses into afternoon. As I drifted in and out of consciousness post-surgery, fragments of my childhood began to weave themselves into the present moment, painting a vivid tapestry of the past that had long been shrouded in neglect and longing. I was 10 years old when Lily first arrived at our doorstep. Her tiny frame, bundled in oversized clothes, stood in stark contrast to the pristine image my parents had meticulously crafted. My father, a man of stern demeanor and unwavering discipline, had always been my role model. My mother, gentle yet firm, balanced his rigidity with warmth. But the day Lily was adopted, everything changed. The car pulled up slowly, dust swirling in its wake as Lily disembarked, her eyes wide with uncertainty. My parents approached her with smiles that seemed rehearsed, their attention immediately shifting from me to the newcomer. My room, once a sanctuary filled with the melodies of my piano practice, was promptly converted into a guest room, leaving me to watch as my sanctuary was stripped away. I remember the first night vividly. The absence of my personal space was a void that echoed with the silent accusations of my heart. I had questions, endless, unanswered questions about why my parents seemed to love Lily more than me. Their reassurances felt hollow, their promises to never let me feel lonely brushed aside by the relentless focus on our new family member. As the years passed, the shift became more pronounced. At 12, my piano lessons were canceled, the cherished instruments sold to accommodate Lily's growing needs. The walls of my once vibrant room were now bare, a testament to the sacrifices demanded by her presence. My wardrobe shrank to a mere 2 sets of school uniforms, a stark reminder of how little I mattered in the grand scheme of our family's priorities. Lily was everything I was not: graceful, adored, and effortlessly the center of attention. Her every achievement was met with praise and admiration, while my own milestones were met with indifference. The more she succeeded, the more invisible I became, my existence overshadowed by her luminous presence. I learned to blend into the background, to become a ghost in my own home, existing without truly living. By the time I was 15, the isolation had hardened my heart. I stopped wearing new clothes altogether, my once vibrant spirit dulled by the relentless pursuit of being someone my parents wanted me to be, a mere shadow beside their cherished daughter. Our home, once filled with laughter and music, now echoed with the hollow sounds of Lily's achievements and my silent despair. Despite the physical closeness, emotional distance grew insurmountable. Conversations with my parents became transactional, centered around logistics and planning for Lily's future rather than genuine connections. They boasted about her to anyone who would listen, proudly showcasing her talents while my own voice was stifled, my needs dismissed as inconsequential. The day of Lily's wedding should have been a joyous occasion, a celebration of love and unity. Instead, it was another reminder of my family's skewed priorities. As they meticulously arranged every detail, their eyes rarely met mine, focused solely on the bride-to-be. I stood on the fringes, a silent observer to their happiness, my own pain invisible to their jubilant gaze. The wedding day was a whirlwind of emotions and activities, each moment meticulously planned to perfection. The invitations were sent out weeks in advance, the venue booked months before, and the guest list curated with precision. My parents moved through the preparations with an almost mechanical efficiency, their focus unwavering despite the undercurrents of tension that occasionally surfaced between Lily and me. Lily looked radiant in her white gown, every detail from her hair to her makeup reflecting the care and attention my parents had lavished upon her. As she walked down the aisle, accompanied by a train of relatives and friends, I felt an inexplicable ache deep within me, a longing for a connection that had been systematically stripped away over the years. My parents' smiles as they watched her approach were genuine, yet their eyes never lingered on me in the same way. Throughout the ceremony, their conversations remained centered around Lily's happiness and future. They received compliments and well wishes, their joy palpable and contagious. Meanwhile, my presence went largely unnoticed, my role relegated to that of an accessory rather than a participant. The reception was no different, filled with laughter, toasts, and dances celebrating Lily's new beginning, while I found myself navigating the periphery of a celebration that no longer included me. As the evening progressed, I retreated to a quiet corner, away from the clamor and festivities. My Aunt Margaret approached me with a warm smile, her presence a stark contrast to the cold indifference of my parents. She sat beside me, her gentle touch a comforting balm to my wounded spirit. "You did great today, Sarah," she whispered, her eyes filled with understanding and empathy that my parents could never muster. "I didn't do anything," I replied, my voice barely audible. The truth was far more complex. I had sacrificed my own happiness to make room for theirs. My needs and desires buried beneath the weight of their expectations. Margaret's unwavering support was a beacon of hope in a sea of neglect, a reminder that there were people who genuinely cared about me, despite the fractured family dynamics. As the night drew to a close, the last of the guests began to depart, leaving behind a lingering sense of accomplishment and joy for Lily. My parents congratulated her with fervent enthusiasm, their eyes alight with pride. Yet, as they exchanged heartfelt embraces and congratulatory words, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of emptiness, a void that no amount of accolades or celebrations could fill. The following days were a blur of preparations for the wedding festivities, each task a reminder of the unbalanced scales of love and attention within our family. My parents immersed themselves further into the planning, leaving me to manage my own recovery and the emotional aftermath of the ceremony. Their absence during my surgery and the subsequent focus on Lily's wedding underscored the extent of their disregard for my well-being. In the weeks that followed, the facade of a perfect family continued to crumble, revealing the underlying fractures and resentments that had festered beneath the surface. Conversations with my parents became more strained, their attempts to bridge the gap only highlighting the emotional chasm that separated us. They viewed Lily's success as a reflection of their parenting, oblivious to the toll it had taken on me. My relationship with Ethan also began to suffer. His constant absences due to work and his inability to fully comprehend the depths of my emotional turmoil, creating an unspoken tension between us. Our once supportive and loving connection became strained, the weight of my family's neglect pressing down on us both in ways that words could not adequately express. One evening, as I sat alone in the quiet of my new room, now a place where I could finally breathe, I found myself reflecting on the years of sacrifice and self-denial. The piano that had been sold to accommodate Lily's needs haunted my thoughts, a symbol of the dreams and aspirations I had been forced to abandon. The melodies that once filled our home were replaced by an oppressive silence, a constant reminder of the love that had been redirected away from me. Margaret's unwavering support became increasingly important, her presence a constant source of comfort and strength. She encouraged me to pursue my own interests and reclaim the parts of myself that had been buried beneath layers of neglect. Her belief in me was a lifeline, a beacon guiding me towards a future where my voice could finally be heard and my existence acknowledged. As I navigated the complexities of my emotions and the challenges of my new reality, I began to realize the extent of my emotional numbness. The nerve damage from the surgery had left me devoid of physical sensations, but it also mirrored the emotional detachment I had cultivated over the years. It was a protective mechanism, shielding me from the pain of rejection and the agony of being overlooked. But as the anesthesia took hold and my consciousness drifted into a deeper slumber, I felt a flicker of something stirring within me, a faint spark of determination that refused to be extinguished. The shadows of my past, once oppressive and overwhelming, now served as the foundation for my impending transformation. I was no longer content to fade into obscurity, to be an invisible specter overshadowed by another's joy. In the quiet darkness between consciousness and oblivion, the echoes of my past reverberated through the corridors of my mind. Each memory, a testament to the years of neglect and longing, fueled the silent determination burning within me. As the anesthesia deepened, I held onto the fragments of my childhood, knowing that the journey ahead would be one of rediscovery and reclamation, a quest to emerge from the shadows and assert my existence in a world that had long ignored my silent pleas. I vowed that no longer would I allow myself to be a pawn in their game of favoritism and misplaced priorities. This surgery, with all its risks and uncertainties, was not just a fight for my physical well-being, but a declaration of my intent to reclaim my identity and forge a path defined by my own desires and worth. The transformation was inevitable, driven by years of suppressed emotions and unfulfilled needs. As darkness fully enveloped me, I embraced the unknown, ready to confront the challenges that awaited and determined to emerge stronger, more resilient, and unapologetically myself. The morning sun filtered through the hospital blinds, casting elongated shadows across the sterile white walls of my recovery room. The rhythmic hum of medical equipment provided a monotonous backdrop to my thoughts. Each beep and whir a stark reminder of the fragile line between life and oblivion that I now teetered upon. As I slowly regained consciousness, the disorienting haze of anesthesia gave way to the sharp sting of reality, each breath a testament to my survival, and paradoxically, a precursor to the emotional turmoil that awaited me. Margaret, my aunt, sat by my bedside, her presence a soothing balm amidst the chaos that had become my existence. Her eyes, filled with concern and unwavering support, met mine with a silent understanding that transcended words. "How are you feeling, Sarah?" she asked softly, her voice a gentle melody that contrasted sharply with the harsh sterility of the hospital environment. I tried to respond, but my throat felt parched, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm okay," I managed to croak, the words laden with a mix of resignation and underlying pain. The nerve damage from the surgery had left me devoid of physical sensations, but the emotional numbness I'd cultivated over the years remained intact, a protective barrier against the relentless waves of neglect and betrayal that had defined my relationship with my parents. As the days melded into one another, the lines between hospital life and wedding preparations began to blur. My parents were a constant presence, their attention unwaveringly fixed on Lily's upcoming wedding. Each conversation revolved around floral arrangements, seating charts, and the guest list, leaving little room for my own struggles and needs. Their dismissive glances and perfunctory inquiries about my condition only served to deepen the chasm between us, solidifying my belief that my existence was secondary to Lily's happiness. Ethan, ever the supportive boyfriend, juggled his demanding job with the increasing chaos of our family dynamics. His late-night calls became infrequent, each one a reminder of the growing distance between us. The stress of balancing his professional obligations with the relentless demands of our family's expectations took its toll, leaving him exhausted and emotionally unavailable. Our once comforting connection now felt strained, a fragile thread that threatened to snap under the weight of unspoken frustrations and unmet needs. Margaret became my anchor, her unwavering support a stark contrast to the emotional neglect I endured at home. She encouraged me to take control of my own healing, both physically and emotionally, urging me to seek therapy and engage in activities that could help me reclaim a sense of self that had long been overshadowed by Lily's presence. Her kindness and understanding provided a glimmer of hope, a reminder that I was not entirely alone in this battle. The day of Lily's wedding arrived with an intensity that was almost palpable. The house was a whirlwind of activity, every corner meticulously arranged to perfection, every detail a reflection of our parents' relentless pursuit of a flawless celebration. The air was thick with anticipation and excitement, the joyous chatter of guests mingling with the ever-present hum of wedding preparations. My parents moved through the chaos with an almost mechanical precision, their focus unwavering as they orchestrated every aspect of the event. I stood on the fringes of the festivities, my presence barely acknowledged amidst the sea of joy and celebration. Lily, radiant in her bridal gown, moved gracefully through the crowd, her every step a testament to the love and admiration that surrounded her. My parents' eyes were fixed solely on her, their smiles and laughter reserved exclusively for her happiness. It was as if my existence had been erased, my struggles invisible beneath the luminous glow of Lily's success. As the ceremony commenced, I felt an overwhelming sense of invisibility, a silent observer to a celebration that no longer included me. The vows exchanged between Lily and her groom were heartfelt and sincere, their words a stark contrast to the hollow conversations that dominated our home. My parents beamed with pride, their eyes never lingering on me, their joy entirely consumed by Lily's union. The reception was a whirlwind of emotions and activities, each moment meticulously planned to perfection. The toasts were filled with anecdotes celebrating Lily's journey, her accomplishments, and the bright future that awaited her. My parents received compliments and well wishes, their happiness palpable and contagious. Meanwhile, I navigated the periphery of a celebration that no longer recognized my existence, my own pain masked behind a facade of indifference. As the night progressed, I retreated to a quiet corner, away from the clamor and festivities. Margaret approached me, her presence a comforting reminder of the support I still had amidst the sea of neglect. "You did great today, Sarah," she whispered, her eyes filled with empathy and understanding. "I didn't do anything," I replied, my voice tinged with bitterness. The truth was far more complex. I had sacrificed my own happiness to make room for theirs, my needs and desires buried beneath the weight of their expectations. Margaret's unwavering support was a beacon of hope in a sea of neglect, a reminder that there were people who genuinely cared about me despite the fractured family dynamics. The emotional climax of the evening came when I decided to confront my parents, unable to bear the suffocating silence any longer. As the last of the guests began to depart, I found an opportune moment to voice the pain that had been festering within me for years. "Why do you always prioritize Lily over me?" I demanded, my voice steady yet laced with suppressed anguish. "What about my struggles, my needs? Do they even matter to you?" My parents exchanged uncomfortable glances, their initial reaction a mix of confusion and defensiveness. "Sarah, you're our daughter too," my father responded, his tone dismissive. "Lily is your sister, and her wedding is an important milestone for the family." "Important?" I echoed, feeling a surge of frustration. "What about my surgery? My health? Do you even care that I almost died? Or is it just that Lily's happiness is more valuable than my life?" My mother stepped forward, her expression a mask of concern that did little to address the depth of my pain. "Sarah, we care about you," she insisted, her voice wavering. "But Lily's wedding is a significant event, and we have to make sure everything is perfect for her." The dismissive nature of her response ignited a fire within me, a realization that my existence was indeed secondary to Lily's. The betrayal cut deep, the years of emotional neglect culminating in this one moment of confrontation. "So my struggles mean nothing to you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper but filled with a devastating finality. My parents faltered, the veneer of a perfect family cracking under the weight of my accusations. Their excuses and dismissals only served to further solidify my resolve. In that moment, the emotional barriers I had built over the years began to crumble, revealing the raw vulnerability beneath. "I can't continue living like this," I declared, my voice resolute. "I need to find my own path, away from the shadows you've cast over me." The room fell silent, the tension thick and oppressive. My parents stood there, unable to meet my gaze, their faces reflecting a mixture of regret and denial. "Sarah, please," my father pleaded, but his words fell on deaf ears. "We're doing this for you and Lily." "No, you're doing this for her," I retorted, the truth undeniable and painful. "I've been invisible for so long, ignored and neglected. I deserve to be seen, to be heard, and to live a life that values my existence as much as Lily's." As the weight of my words settled in the room, I felt a profound sense of liberation. The act of voicing my pain was the catalyst for my decisive transformation, a turning point that would propel me towards severing ties with my parents and forging my own path. The emotional numbness that had shielded me from their neglect now gave way to a newfound determination, a resolve to reclaim my identity and pursue my own happiness. Margaret stood beside me, her hand gently clasping mine, offering silent support. "You're not alone, Sarah," she assured me, her eyes filled with unwavering belief. "We'll get through this together." With Margaret's support and a clear understanding of the emotional cost of remaining within my parents' neglectful grasp, I made the pivotal decision to sever ties. It was a choice born out of necessity, a desperate bid to escape the suffocating confines of a family that had chosen to prioritize another's happiness over my own well-being. As the final vestiges of the night settled, I felt a sense of clarity that had eluded me for so long. The wedding, once a symbol of my family's unity and success, had become the breaking point, the moment that shattered the illusion of a perfect family and revealed the painful truth of my own existence. With each step away from that moment, I embraced the unknown, ready to navigate the challenges that awaited me and determined to build a life defined by my own desires and worth. The first rays of dawn pierced through the curtains of my new apartment, casting a warm, golden hue over the minimalist decor I had meticulously chosen. Every piece of furniture, every decoration was a deliberate choice, a stark contrast to the chaos and neglect that had characterized my past life. This was my sanctuary now, a space that reflected the rebirth I was undergoing, both physically and emotionally. Margaret had been instrumental in helping me secure this place. Her unwavering support and practical assistance had provided me with the stability I desperately needed. As I sat by the large window, sipping my morning coffee, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I had come. The nerve damage from the surgery had left me devoid of physical sensations, but it had also stripped away layers of emotional numbness I had accumulated over the years. In their absence, I had begun to rediscover parts of myself I had long forgotten. Building my own business had been a monumental task, one that required every ounce of determination and resilience I possessed. I had always been passionate about sustainable fashion, a field where creativity met responsibility. Drawing from my own experiences of feeling invisible and undervalued, I wanted to create a brand that empowered individuals to embrace their uniqueness and make ethical choices. The early days were grueling. Long hours, countless meetings, and the constant pressure of proving myself. But with Margaret's guidance and Ethan's occasional encouragement, I navigated the complexities of entrepreneurship. Ethan had tried to reach out more frequently over the past few months, his calls becoming less sporadic and more earnest. He wanted to bridge the gap that had widened between us, to offer support in ways I had previously rebuffed. His dedication was admirable, yet I found myself maintaining a careful distance, unsure if I was ready to let him back into the intimate spaces of my life. Our relationship had always been one of mutual support, but the strain of my family's neglect and my own emotional journey had introduced an unspoken tension. One evening, as I was finalizing the designs for our upcoming collection, Ethan arrived unannounced, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers that contrasted beautifully with my sleek, modern aesthetic. "Thought these might brighten your day," he said, his voice tinged with hope. I glanced up, meeting his eyes with a mixture of gratitude and reservation. "They're beautiful, Ethan. Thank you," I replied, my voice steady despite the swirling emotions within me. He took a seat across from me, his presence a comforting reminder of the life I had once envisioned. "I've been thinking," he began, his tone tentative. "Maybe we could spend more time together. You know, just us. I miss what we had before all this happened." I sighed, the weight of my own struggles pressing down on me. "Ethan, I appreciate your support, but right now I need to focus on myself and the business. I've been neglecting so many parts of my life because of everything that happened with my family." He nodded, a flicker of disappointment crossing his face. "I understand. Just know that I'm here for you, no matter what." Our conversation lingered in the air, a poignant reminder of the balance I sought to maintain between personal growth and the remnants of past relationships. As the days turned into weeks, my business began to flourish. The sustainable fashion line, aptly named Rebirth, resonated with a growing audience who valued both style and ethics. The success was gratifying, a tangible affirmation of my journey towards independence and self-worth. Meanwhile, my parents' situation continued to deteriorate. Their unwavering focus on Lily's wedding had given way to an obsessive need for perfection, straining their relationships with extended family and friends. The facade of a harmonious family life was cracking, revealing the underlying tensions and resentments that had long been buried beneath the surface. Their inability to acknowledge my existence had left me with a profound sense of emptiness, but it had also fueled my determination to carve out a life defined by my own values and aspirations. One afternoon, as I reviewed the latest sales figures, my phone buzzed with an urgent notification. A message from Margaret read, "Call me ASAP. It's about your parents." My heart skipped a beat, a mix of apprehension and curiosity flooding my senses. I placed the phone on silent and called her immediately. "Margaret, what's going on?" I asked, my voice laced with concern. She hesitated before answering, her tone unusually serious. "Sarah, it's your father. There's been an accident. Lily was involved in a car crash." The words hit me like a ton of bricks, the news sending shockwaves through the carefully constructed walls of my independence. What happened? Is she okay? I demanded, anxiety creeping into my voice. Margaret sighed heavily. She's stable for now, but it's serious. They need your help, Sarah. The insurance claims are a mess, and your parents are struggling to navigate it. They're asking for your assistance, both financially and emotionally. A whirlwind of emotions engulfed me. Fear for Lily, frustration at my parents' continued disregard for my well-being, and the looming question of whether to re-engage with a family that had long neglected me. The nerve damage had left me numb, but the pain of abandonment still pierced through, raw and undeniable. I need to think about it, I replied, my mind racing with conflicting thoughts. I have my own business to manage. I can't just drop everything. Margaret's voice softened, tinged with empathy. I understand, but Lily needs you. Your parents might not realize how much their neglect has hurt you, but this could be an opportunity to mend things, even if just a little. The decision weighed heavily on me. The allure of returning to a family that had consistently sidelined my existence, tempting yet fraught with emotional peril. As I grappled with the choice, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The surgery, the subsequent emotional detachment, and the relentless pursuit of my own path had all led to this pivotal moment, a crossroads that would define the next chapter of my life. Days passed, and the situation with my parents and Lily intensified. The accident had not only shaken their already fragile composure, but had also exposed the depths of their dependency on Lily's success and their inability to prioritize anything, or anyone, else. The once pristine image of a perfect family was now marred by the harsh reality of their dysfunction and desperation. Despite my reservations, I decided to visit them, driven by a sense of responsibility and a lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, this crisis could serve as a bridge to heal old wounds. Margaret accompanied me, her presence a source of strength as we navigated the strained atmosphere of my parents' home. The drive was tense, the silence between us filled with unspoken thoughts and apprehensions. As we pulled into the driveway, the sight of my parents' strained expressions and the sight of Lily being tended to in the hospital parking lot solidified the gravity of the situation. Inside, the house was a chaotic blend of hurried preparations and subdued panic. My parents moved frantically, their focus split between Lily's well-being and the mounting pressures of the accident. The air was thick with anxiety, the walls echoing with their frantic conversations, and the occasional strained laughter that failed to mask the underlying tension. Lily sat in the living room, her once vibrant presence now diminished by the physical and emotional toll of the crash. Her eyes, usually filled with determination and grace, now reflected a vulnerability that tugged at the remnants of my suppressed emotions. My father approached me, his expression a mixture of desperation and frustration. "Sarah, thank you for coming. We need your help to sort out the insurance and cover the medical expenses." I nodded, my resolve wavering as I glanced at Lily. "I'll see what I can do," I replied, the words feeling hollow against the weight of our shared history. As I stepped outside to make a phone call, my parents continued their frantic efforts, their voices a cacophony of concern and stress. Margaret remained by my side, her unwavering support a stark contrast to the emotional neglect I had endured for so long. I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt mixed with resentment, the complex emotions of wanting to help, yet fearing the resurgence of old wounds. In the following weeks, I immersed myself in the chaos of managing my parents' crisis, balancing it with the demands of my growing business. The juxtaposition of my professional success against my family's turmoil highlighted the stark differences in our lives. My company thrived, driven by my passion and determination, while my parents struggled to cope with the aftermath of the accident, their lives unraveling under the pressure. Ethan, sensing the strain, attempted to reach out more frequently, his messages filled with concern and offers of support. Yet, I found myself distancing further, prioritizing my own path over the remnants of a family that had long overshadowed me. Our interactions became brief and formal, a stark contrast to the deep connection we once shared. Margaret's influence remained a guiding force, her wisdom and compassion helping me navigate the complexities of my dual responsibilities. She encouraged me to find a balance, to not let the past entirely dictate my present, and to seek moments of genuine connection amidst the chaos. Her presence was a reminder that support could come from unexpected places, and that healing was a journey best undertaken with trusted allies by my side. Amidst the turmoil, I began to question the very foundation of my emotional detachment. The years of neglect had left me with a hardened exterior, a shield against the pain of rejection and the agony of being overlooked. But as I watched Lily struggle to recover, and as my parents grappled with the consequences of their actions, I couldn't help but feel the stirrings of empathy and responsibility that had long been buried beneath layers of self-protection. The breaking point came unexpectedly, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. While managing the insurance claims, I stumbled upon a series of financial discrepancies, unexplained expenses, and unauthorized transactions that pointed to a deeper level of deceit and manipulation within my parents' dealings. The realization that their desperation had led them to questionable actions ignited a surge of anger and betrayal, reigniting the emotional turmoil I had worked so hard to suppress. Determined to uncover the truth, I delved deeper into the financial records, uncovering a web of deceit that had kept me in the dark for years. The evidence pointed to a desperate attempt to cover medical expenses and wedding costs, a testament to my parents' inability to prioritize anything beyond Lily's happiness. The revelation was a painful reminder of the depths of their neglect and the extent to which they had gone to maintain the facade of a perfect family. Faced with the stark reality of their actions, I found myself at a crossroads once again. The crisis had forced me to confront the unresolved emotions and deep-seated resentment that had festered over the years. The emotional numbness that had once served as a protective barrier now felt inadequate in the face of such blatant deceit and manipulation. As I navigated the complexities of my parents' financial turmoil, I realized that my journey towards independence was not yet complete. The crisis had stripped away the last remnants of the illusion that my parents cared, leaving me with a profound sense of clarity and determination. It was a turning point, a moment that would define the next phase of my life, one where I would fully embrace my independence and sever the ties that had long held me back. With Margaret's unwavering support and the foundation of my own resilience, I made the decisive choice to distance myself further from my parents. It was a painful but necessary step, one that signaled the end of an era defined by neglect and the beginning of a new chapter marked by self-discovery and personal growth. The crisis had not only tested my limits, but had also solidified my resolve to forge a path free from the shadows of my past. As the dust settled and my parents grappled with the consequences of their actions, I stood at the precipice of a new beginning. The journey ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges and emotional complexities, but it was a path I was now determined to walk with strength and clarity. The scars of the past would always remain, but they no longer held the power to define my present or dictate my future. I was rising from the ashes, ready to embrace the life I had always deserved. The persistent hum of my laptop was the only sound in the quiet of my new apartment, a stark contrast to the bustling chaos that had defined my past. Each click of the keyboard echoed my determination, a steady rhythm that underscored the profound changes I had undergone over the past months. The room, adorned with minimalist decor and personal touches from Margaret, reflected the balance I had painstakingly achieved between professional ambition and personal healing. Building Rebirth, my sustainable fashion brand, had been more than a career move. It was a declaration of my independence and a testament to my resilience. Every design I created was infused with a piece of my journey, a blend of creativity and a deep-seated desire to redefine my identity away from the shadows of my past. The latest collection, inspired by the concept of rebirth and transformation, had just launched, and the positive reception was a balm to my wounded spirit. Ethan had become a more integral part of my life, his support unwavering even as he navigated his demanding job. Our relationship had evolved from the fragile threads that once bound us to a more robust and enduring connection. His presence provided a sense of stability and comfort that I had longed for, but had been denied for years. Despite the lingering emotional scars from my family's neglect, I found solace in our shared moments, each one a step towards rebuilding the connection we once had. Margaret remained my steadfast ally, her wisdom and compassion guiding me through the complexities of balancing my burgeoning business with the remnants of familial obligations. Her encouragement to embrace vulnerability had been pivotal in my transformation, allowing me to reconnect with emotions I had long suppressed. Together, we navigated the intricate web of my parents' ongoing crisis, the car accident that had thrust Lily into a precarious state of dependence once more. The days following Lily's accident were a whirlwind of emotions and responsibilities. The insurance claims were a labyrinthine maze, each turn revealing deeper layers of financial desperation and manipulation within my parents' dealings. The discovery of unauthorized transactions had not only exposed their deceit, but also underscored the extent of their prioritization of Lily's well-being over everything else, including their own daughters. Faced with the reality of their actions, my resolve to distance myself from my parents solidified. The confrontation during Lily's wedding had been a catalyst, a moment that stripped away the illusion of a harmonious family and revealed the raw wounds that had festered beneath the surface. Now, navigating the aftermath of their financial turmoil, I found myself at another crossroads, one that demanded a choice between lingering in the wreckage of a broken family or forging a new path defined by independence and self-worth. One evening, as I reviewed the latest financial reports, Margaret approached me with a concerned expression. "Sarah, I've been thinking," she began, her voice gentle yet firm. "Maybe it's time to take a step back. You've done so much for your parents and Lily, but it's taking a toll on you. You deserve to focus on your own happiness." I looked up from the documents, the weight of her words sinking in. "I know, Margaret, but Lily still needs help, and my parents are struggling to keep everything together. I can't just abandon them." She placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder, her eyes filled with understanding. "It's not abandonment, Sarah. It's about finding a balance. You've been carrying the burden for so long. It's time to prioritize your own well-being." Her words resonated deeply, the truth in them undeniable. The relentless pursuit of supporting a family that had consistently overlooked my needs had left me drained, both physically and emotionally. The nerve damage from the surgery had left me numb to physical sensations, but the emotional numbness I had cultivated over the years was now starting to feel inadequate. It was a protective mechanism that had served me well, but it was no longer sustainable. The decision to distance myself from my parents was not an easy one, but it was a necessary step towards healing. I began by setting clear boundaries, communicating my needs and limits with firmness and clarity. The initial resistance from my parents was expected, their denial a testament to the years of emotional manipulation and neglect. But with Margaret by my side, their resistance began to wane, the undeniable truth of their actions slowly eroding their defensiveness. One afternoon, as I attended a meeting with potential investors for Rebirth, I received a call from my parents. Their voices, tinged with desperation and frustration, broke through the professional facade I had maintained. "Sarah, we need your help with the insurance claims," my father implored. "Lily's medical expenses are spiraling out of control, and we don't know what to do." I took a deep breath, the tension in my shoulders momentarily easing as I reached for my phone. "I'll see what I can do," I replied, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. Ending the call, I glanced at Margaret, who gave me a reassuring nod. "It's a start," she said softly, "but remember, you're not obligated to sacrifice your well-being for them." As the weeks progressed, the balance in my life began to stabilize. My business continued to thrive, each milestone a reminder of my strength and capability. The support from Margaret and the steady presence of Ethan provided a solid foundation upon which I could build a life defined by my own values and aspirations. Meanwhile, my parents' situation continued to deteriorate. Their unwavering focus on Lily's well-being had given way to an obsessive need for perfection, straining their relationships with extended family and friends. The facade of a harmonious family life was cracking, revealing the underlying tensions and resentments that had long been buried beneath the surface. Their inability to acknowledge my existence had left me with a profound sense of emptiness, but it had also fueled my determination to carve out a life defined by my own values and aspirations. One evening, as I sat in my office overseeing the final touches of our latest collection, Margaret approached me with a thoughtful expression. Sarah, I've been reflecting on everything that's happened, she began, her tone contemplative. Perhaps it's time to confront them directly, to address the root of the issues rather than just managing the symptoms. I frowned, the idea of confronting my parents head-on, evoking a mix of fear and defiance. I don't know, Margaret. Every time I try to reach out, it just reinforces their indifference. What's the point? She took a seat across from me, her eyes meeting mine with unwavering support. It's about closure, Sarah. Holding on to anger and resentment only keeps you tethered to the past. Confronting them might not change anything immediately, but it could provide the clarity you need to truly move forward. Her words hung in the air, a poignant reminder of the internal battles I still needed to face. The journey towards self-discovery and emotional healing was far from over. But Margaret's wisdom provided a guiding light through the darkness. The following week, I decided to take her advice. With Ethan's support, we arranged a meeting with my parents, choosing a neutral location to minimize the emotional weight of the confrontation. The cafe we selected was quiet and unassuming, its tranquil ambience a stark contrast to the storm of emotions that awaited us. As I sat at the table, my parents approached with hesitant smiles, their eyes reflecting a mix of hope and apprehension. Lily, still recovering from her accident, sat beside them, her presence a silent reminder of the fragility of our family's unity. The initial pleasantries gave way to a tense silence, the weight of unspoken words pressing down on us all. I wanted to talk about what's been going on, I began, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. I know things have been difficult, and I've tried to help as much as I can, but I need you to understand how your actions have affected me. My father's expression hardened, his brows furrowing with defensiveness. Sarah, we're doing this for Lily. You know how important her recovery is. I took a deep breath, gathering the courage to voice the pain that had been festering within me for years. I understand that Lily is important, but what about me? I've sacrificed so much for your happiness, and I've been overlooked and neglected in return. My needs and struggles have been dismissed time and time again. My mother's eyes welled up with tears, her voice wavering as she tried to respond. Sarah, we never meant to neglect you. We thought we were doing the right thing by prioritizing Lily. But you were wrong, I interjected, the finality in my voice unmistakable. Your actions have left me feeling invisible and unvalued. I deserve better than this. The room fell silent, the tension palpable as my parents struggled to process my words. The confrontation had laid bare the emotional neglect that had defined our relationship, forcing them to confront the pain they had caused me. I need time, my father finally said, his voice tinged with regret. We'll try to do better, Sarah. I nodded, a mixture of relief and sorrow washing over me. I hope so, I replied softly, but I need to focus on my own healing and happiness now. As I walked away from the cafe, Margaret reached out to squeeze my hand, her support unwavering. You did the right thing, Sarah. It's not easy to confront the past, but it's a crucial step towards healing. In the weeks that followed, the dynamics within my family continued to shift. My parents made genuine efforts to acknowledge my presence and support my endeavors, albeit inconsistently. The road to rebuilding our fractured relationships was long and fraught with challenges, but the initial steps had been taken, laying the groundwork for potential reconciliation. Meanwhile, my business continued to flourish, each success a testament to my resilience and determination. Rebirth had become more than just a brand. It was a symbol of my journey towards independence and self-worth. The positive feedback from customers and industry leaders affirmed that I was on the right path, reinforcing my commitment to sustainability and ethical fashion. Ethan and I grew closer, our relationship evolving into a partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. The distance I had maintained began to close, replaced by a deeper connection forged through shared experiences and the challenges we had overcome together. His unwavering support provided a sense of stability that I had longed for, grounding me as I navigated the complexities of my personal and professional life. One evening, as I sat in my office finalizing the details of an upcoming fashion show, Ethan walked in with a bouquet of fresh flowers. I thought these might brighten your day, he said, his smile a comforting presence in the midst of my busy schedule. I looked up, meeting his eyes with gratitude and a hint of vulnerability. "They're beautiful, Ethan. Thank you." He took a seat across from me, his gaze filled with concern and affection. "You've been through so much, Sarah. I'm proud of how far you've come, but I want you to remember that you don't have to do this alone." I reached out, gently taking his hand in mine. "I know, Ethan, and I appreciate your support more than words can express. You've been my anchor through all of this." Our connection deepened, each moment together a step towards healing the emotional wounds that had been inflicted by years of neglect. The balance I had achieved between my personal and professional life allowed me to embrace the relationships that truly mattered, fostering connections built on genuine care and understanding. Margaret continued to be a pillar of strength, her unwavering support and guidance helping me navigate the challenges that arose. Her belief in my ability to overcome the past and build a fulfilling future was a constant source of motivation, inspiring me to push beyond my limitations and strive for excellence in all that I pursued. The turning point came when I decided to expand Rebirth into international markets, a bold move that required strategic planning and meticulous execution. The opportunity was both exhilarating and daunting, a true test of my capabilities and resilience. With Margaret's assistance and Ethan's unwavering support, I navigated the complexities of international business, each success a testament to my growth and determination. As the business expanded, so did my confidence and a sense of self-worth. The shadows of my past, once oppressive and overwhelming, now served as the foundation for my strength and resilience. I had reclaimed my identity, no longer allowing the neglect and betrayal of my parents to define me. Instead, I forged a path that was uniquely mine, guided by my values and aspirations. However, the journey was not without its challenges. My parents' attempts to re-enter my life were met with a newfound assertiveness, a firm boundary that I had established to protect my emotional well-being. Their apologies, though heartfelt, could not erase the years of neglect, and I remained cautious in my interactions, determined to maintain the balance I had worked so hard to achieve. One afternoon, as I attended a high-profile fashion event, my parents unexpectedly appeared at the entrance, their presence a stark reminder of the unresolved tensions that still lingered. Lily, now recovering and regaining her independence, stood beside them, her demeanor reflecting a newfound strength and self-assuredness. My father approached me with a hesitant smile, his eyes reflecting a mix of hope and apprehension. "Sarah, I wanted to see how you're doing. You've accomplished so much, and we're proud of you." I nodded, maintaining my composure despite the swirling emotions within me. "Thank you, Dad. I appreciate that." My mother, her eyes filled with a genuine desire to reconnect, added, "We understand that we've hurt you, and we're truly sorry. We want to make things right." Lily stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. "Sarah, I've realized how much my accident has affected all of us. I want to support you in any way I can." The sincerity in their voices was undeniable, a stark contrast to the indifference that had defined our interactions for so long. In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope, a possibility for healing and reconciliation that had seemed out of reach. "I appreciate your apologies," I responded, my voice soft yet firm. "But healing takes time. We all have our own paths to follow." Margaret joined us, her presence a comforting reminder of the support system I had built for myself. "Sarah, it's important to acknowledge the progress you've made and to continue prioritizing your well-being. Your parents are taking steps to understand and support you better, but it's up to you to decide the extent of your involvement." The conversation lingered in the air, a delicate balance between past wounds and the potential for future healing. As the event continued, I found myself reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this pivotal moment, a journey marked by pain, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of self-worth. In the weeks that followed, my relationship with my parents slowly began to mend. Their efforts to understand and support me were met with cautious optimism, the foundation of trust slowly being rebuilt. The process was gradual, each small step a testament to the power of forgiveness and the resilience of the human spirit. Lily's recovery progressed steadily, her dependence on our parents diminishing as she regained her independence. The shared experience of her accident had brought us closer, fostering a sense of unity that had been absent for so long. Together, we navigated the complexities of rebuilding our fractured relationships, each of us contributing to the healing process in our own way. As Rebirth continued to thrive, expanding into new markets and garnering international recognition, I found myself embracing the fullness of my journey. The scars of the past were a testament to my strength and resilience, reminders of the battles I had fought and the victories I had achieved. The shadows that once loomed over me had been dispelled by the light of self-discovery and personal growth, illuminating a path towards a future filled with hope and endless possibilities. One evening, as I stood on the balcony of my office overlooking the city skyline, Ethan joined me, his presence a comforting anchor in the midst of my busy life. "You've done amazing things, Sarah," he said softly, his gaze meeting mine with unwavering support. "I'm proud of you." I smiled, the warmth in my heart a stark contrast to the emotional numbness that had once defined me. "Thank you, Ethan. I couldn't have done it without you and Margaret." He took my hand, his touch a gentle reminder of the love and support that had helped me reclaim my life. "We're in this together, no matter what." As the sun set over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment and peace. The journey had been arduous, filled with pain and struggle, but it had also been a testament to my resilience and unwavering determination to forge my own path. The open-ended nature of my story was a reflection of the ongoing journey of healing and self-discovery. While the wounds of the past would always remain, they no longer held the power to define me. With the support of those who truly cared, I embraced the uncertainty of the future, ready to navigate the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. In the quiet moments of reflection, I realized that redemption and resolution were not destinations, but continuous processes. Each day, a new opportunity to grow, to heal, and to embrace the life I had always deserved. The shadows of my past had been transformed into the light of my present, illuminating a path towards a future filled with hope, purpose, and the promise of endless possibilities. As the final hues of twilight faded into the embrace of night, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, gazing out at the city that had become both a battleground and a sanctuary. The journey ahead was uncharted, filled with both promise and uncertainty, but for the first time in my life, I felt truly alive. The scars of the past were no longer chains that bound me, but reminders of the strength and resilience that had carried me through the darkest of times. With each breath, I embraced the present, confident in my ability to forge a path defined by my own desires and aspirations. The road ahead was mine to navigate, and I walked it with unwavering determination and an open heart, ready to embrace the blooming spring flowers of my future.